Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. 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 Yep.
Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Double Feature Versus. I'm Anthony.
I'm Brad.
Yeah, that guy over there, he's Brad. So today we got a special one. Not one we really do often, but you know, it's something new. We got a murder mystery team up.
Or are you waiting for me to chime in on this one?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you to chime in on this one. If you want me to talk to myself the whole time, I think I can pull off a nice Brad imitation. Yes,
I figured there was more to your sentence because you kind of just left it on this weird cliffhanger, and I was like, hold on, is he going to continue or?
Well, I think I ended it where there's a question mark at the end. So we're doing the murder mystery thing today? Question mark.
Yes. So today's podcast, we are doing Knives Out versus the recently released Death in the Nile. So I think this is actually a pretty good pair up because originally I've wanted to do one for Knives Out for a while now, but it came down to what do we pair it up against? And I remember thinking we could pair it up against like Murder on the Orient Express, but it didn't feel right doing those two together to me.
Yes. So you chose Mansour Poirot's latest film, Death on the Nile, huh?
Yes. So I chose the sequel.
Gotcha. Let's just hop into it. Hold on. Before we get into it, any current movies you've seen? Anything you want to say? Hey, I saw this recently, and
I did see, what was it? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
So did I, man.
So let's not take too long on it, but did you like it?
I loved it. I just thought it was a great film. I loved it.
I did too. I think that it's pretty overhyped because everybody keeps saying, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time. This is the shoe-in for the Oscars win this year and stuff. That's all I keep hearing.
I think
it's not that.
I think it has accurate hype. I think the hype is accurate. I feel like it has the same kind of hype Baby Driver kind of got. And some people will be like, oh, it's not that good. But it's like, well, Baby Driver was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought it was really good. I really enjoy it and everything. But everybody keeps hyping it to be like, oh my God, this is the best movie ever made. It's like, calm down. Just cool it a little bit. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, it is a really good movie. Nah, you know what? I go even far to say 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed that movie.
Oh, see, that one's like a 4.5 out of 5 to me.
Hey, I'm not mad at that either. I thought everything synced well. I never saw Swiss Army Man, so I wasn't. The only thing I knew about Daniels, the directing team Daniels, was Turned Down for What? That hilarious music video. So I know they were kind of quirky. But I went in this film with an open mind, and my wife and I, we just loved it, man.
Oh yeah, I will say the rock scene in it, without any spoilers, I'm pretty sure that I choked on my own breath because I was laughing so hard at that scene.
I like how the film deals with basically optimism versus pessimism.
Yes,
because there's one character, without giving anything away, that is so pessimistic towards the world. Like, listen, life is meaningless. There is no meaning to this world we live in. And the other person's fighting, no, you got to feel something. Even if everything is meaningless, you got to have some meaning. I love that, man.
Yeah, I love that it definitely revolves around what is the point with there being the infinite multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of plays around with that concept. And it's one that I actually really love that played around with because we don't see that played around with in the multiverse kind of stuff that we see. They usually just go, oh, anything can happen. Let's jump into different universes and see what we can find. This one actually dealt with the, existential dread of such a thing.
Right. Hey, man, I got to say, man, this weekend, I cannot wait. I got a twofer coming up, Northman, and the other one that we're going to be talking about next episode, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Which I already saw.
Oh, you did?
I did. There was a pre-screening event for it, so I went to that and I got to see it early.
Hey man, I gotta tell you, man, I gotta really thank you, dude. My wife and I, we tried out those black tickets. Worked like a charm, dude. Now
I just assume that you're walking into AMC every day now and going, large popcorn. Let's do it. What movie are you here for? I'm not here for a movie. I'm just getting the popcorn.
Man, listen, I did not know about this for the longest time. And even my wife used to work at AMC a long time ago. She says people never came up to me like with stuff like that at the concession stand. And there was a little bit of problem with the drink voucher. They was like, hey, could you show us the picture so we can scan the barcode? And I kind of had to go and try to find it and zoom out the picture because I'm like, I got the code. Isn't the code better? But, it works, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah. They always scan the barcode for me. The PIN code never works in my experience. It's always they have to scan the barcode from the picture, which isn't a big deal.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. All right, man. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Usually we don't usually do this, but I think we should go chronological on this one.
Yeah, we got to save the newest one for last. So let's go chronological.
All right. So we starting off with Knives Out.
Starting out with Knives Out.
All right. Knives Out. So Rian Johnson, one of my favorite directors, made this film, and it's a murder mystery, but I like how the film kind of turns murder mystery on its head. There's this very popular novelist, kind of compare him to a James Patterson. He's a very wealthy man. He lives in the big mansion with his family. Every one of his family members has some level of shadiness to them, and in some way are kind of leeching off him. One of his sons runs his publishing firm, but hasn't made any own publishing work of his own. His daughter is, what was the thing that was wrong with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm trying to remember who he played. Linda Dredd, the eldest daughter. So she basically just kept siphoning his money from him without any purpose. And then it was daughter.
That was Toni Collette's character. That was Joni.
I'm pretty sure she was doing the same because
maybe.
It was Joni's daughter was the one that was going to school, right?
Yes.
So Joni was the one taking money as well as, paying directly for the school from his accounts and taking the money for her schools from the accounts.
Yeah. There's that. Then, you just said about Jamie Lee Curtis. Long story short, he has a lot of family members that are tied to him that in some way or another leech off him.
Yeah, whether it's blatantly leeching off him or slyly leeching off him, he's aware of some of it, and some of it is kind of like a surprise to him when he discovers it.
Right. And then there's Marta, played by Ana de Armas, who is Harlan's nurse. They have a great rapport together. He basically loves her like a daughter. He's always playing games with her and like actual board games with her. And she just has a loving presence and really doesn't ask anything of him. Doesn't try to leech off him at all. She's really the most honest person in that house. Well, that she works in the house, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Long story short, Mr. Thrombey is announced dead, and he's found, with a knife at his throat, his throat bleeding, so that it's a suicide. However, there are some detectives on the scene. The detectives are Lakeith Stanfield's Lieutenant Elliot, and who was the other guy that was the fanboy?
Daniel Craig's.
No, not Daniel Craig. The other one.
Oh, the one that was with Lakeith Stanfield's character?
Yeah. Whatever.
That was... I forget.
Trooper Wagner. That's what his name was. Trooper Wagner. Was he a trooper? I think he was a trooper. I don't know. But anyway, Daniel Craig is a private detective, and he's known as one of the best private detectives ever, and he was put on the case to decide whether it was really a suicide or not. So he ends up interviewing every member of the family, ends up interviewing Marta. And I like how this film goes. Like that's the basic synopsis, but I like how the film unfolds to a point where I want to say like 1:30 and Rian Johnson actually shows us what happened and actually shows us how Marta's involved with it and how she's basically trying to cover her tracks so that people don't think she did it, even though she witnessed how it was done.
Right. So it basically, as we're kind of like learning everything that happened, we're basically following Daniel Craig's character as he's trying to solve this mystery, because he's been given just a newspaper clipping of, the showing that he was, committed suicide is what was put in the papers, and a large sum of money that was in an unmarked envelope just sent to him, basically alluding that somebody knows that there's, foul play here. It wasn't suicide, and trying to figure out what's going on.
I love how Rian Johnson does that, because one of my favorite films, Looper, I like how as the movie starts, we're following Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. You've seen that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I like how we follow his character, and then we shift perspective after he shoots his future self, and we see him live out his life all the way to circle back to when he comes back to the moments where he has to shoot himself, and then Bruce Willis, the now adult Joseph Gordon-Levitt, stops him. Like, I like how he plays with narrative, and you kind of see that in this film too.
Yeah, he loves showing you the entire hand that he has. Like, if this was a poker game, he would literally put his cards on the table face up, except for one card, and just go ahead, guess. Let's see what you come up with. And then he slowly kind of makes you realize, there's something more at play here, and I love how he literally tells us exactly how he died. Like the entire thing of, Marta, here's what you got to do. You got to, leave, drive away, come back, sneak in through the window and everything, then take, my coat and everything like that. So it looks like I left. And so you can put the blame on somebody else and guarantee your safety from this, because you'll have proof that you weren't here when I was killed. Which he believes that he's going to die because he got an overdose of morphine, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So he's under the assumption that he's going to die, and there's nothing that can be done. He basically has, 10 minutes to live, and his goal is to save Marta from being criminalized for his death when it was an honest mistake. I
love that rapport with them when Anna de Armas is freaking out, like, oh my God, I think I gave you the wrong thing. Like, I think I gave you too much morphine. And Christopher Plummer asks, well, how much did you give me? He says, I gave you this much. How much is it supposed to be? She tells him, he goes, oh, that's way larger. Like,
I want to say like she gave him 100 milligrams when normally he's supposed to have like a max of 5.
Right. And she's like, we got to do something in 30 seconds or you'll start convulsing. He says, well, no rush. Like, I love his comebacks in that scene.
Yeah, he's too calm, which just makes it hilarious. And it fits with his character too, because he's a very nonchalant person.
He's laid back, he's not a pushover, but you can tell he's an emphatic guy. You can tell he has empathy, especially with the way he deals with Marta. Even when he's cutting people off, like when he tells Joni, like, listen, I know you've been taking money from me. I'm going to have to cut you and my granddaughter off. He doesn't do it out of spite. He does it because, listen, this is the way it has to be. You're stealing from me.
Right. Your family, but at the same time, I have the duty to make sure that you actually know how to make a living yourself instead of just living off of me, because eventually I'm not going to be here for you to live off of anymore.
See, Anna, this is how, and folks, this is a double feature versus when everything everywhere was an exception, but we discuss spoilers here. This is my thing, though. Why do you think he killed himself? Like, I understand if you feel like, I want to get myself before the morphine gets me. But do you really feel like he was depressed? Like I question that. Like, what made him kill himself though?
I don't think he was depressed. I think it was more he was ready to go. He already knew that his life didn't have much left because this was just right after his birthday. He basically was cutting off everybody in the family, knowing that, they were going to have to start living on their own because he wasn't going to be around too much longer. And he had already decided that he was going to give all his possessions and everything to Marta for literally being there, like the daughter that he had plenty of that never cared about him, but Marta did care about him. So it was more, I need to protect this one person that literally I have no way to protect. And he also knew that he had already signed away all his will and everything to her. So if it came back that she had killed him, it would look like, foul play.
She wanted to get the money. Right.
So he had to do something that would make, the police and everybody go, oh, not even a suspect. It's, he killed himself.
That makes sense.
He must have had a bad birthday. He was tired of things and he offed himself. I don't think he would have done so if the circumstances didn't come that led to that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would say. Like, I mean, I guess it's convenience of plot. It's not something I really think is a big, like, oh, man, that's implausible. But I do kind of go, that is kind of strange that he just offed himself. But it's for convenience of plot. I get it.
Convenience of plot. And it does kind of make sense with its character because here was the one person that he wants to protect. And all of a sudden, it's in his hands that there's only one way to protect her. And that's he's going to die anyway. Because as far as they knew at this point, he was going to die. There was no way that they could save him. He was on living minutes away from when he was going to croak. So he might as well do something to be able to save the one person that showed him care in this world.
Right. Hey, man, when I first saw the trailer for this movie and I saw Daniel Craig and I heard that accent, I said, no, there's no way I'm going to buy that for a whole 2 hours. Daniel Craig, when I see Daniel Craig, I not only see Bond, I see British. I said, there's no way I'm taking in a Southern accent from Daniel Craig. But you know what, man? As hokey as it can be in some scenes, it fits.
It does. There are some scenes where it's more comical than anything.
Yeah, you in some scenes you're like, dude, that's just Daniel Craig trying to talk Southern.
Right. Yeah. It's just Daniel Craig talking all slow like.
Right. We got suspects. And no one's gonna get past me. And I'm like, come on, man. It would have gone so. Listen, Rian Johnson has his own creative reasons for why he does what he does. But it would have been so much better if Daniel Craig was a British PI, man.
I would have loved that, but at the same time, I get why he wanted him to be like this slow Southern drawl, because he wanted him to be able to say stuff slowly enough that you knew what was coming, but you weren't entirely sure what he was going to say next.
It's like that book, Gravity Rainbow. Oh, I never read that. Nobody's read it. I got Gravity Rainbow on my bookshelf and I haven't read it. I plan to one day when I'm 50, but
eventually.
Right. Yeah, man. I hear what you're saying on that one. I understand the creative choice behind it. But dude, I gotta say, this movie criminally underused Lakeith Stanfield, dude.
It did. It is one of the times where you get excited because I don't know about you, but every time I see Lakeith in something, it's like, oh, this is gonna be great. His performances are always great.
Yeah.
He was very held back in this.
Anyone could have played that role. Like he was really like, I would have liked to see Lakeith play the role of the trooper that was like such a big fan. That way, I like the actor who did it. I think it was Nolan Segan, but I would have liked if Lakeith like had a role that had meat on the bone. Like,
right.
Elliot was just following behind Blank.
His entire thing was, well, what do you think about this? Well, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Where are we going to go now?
That's interesting. And I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm glad to see him, but I just would have wished the role had some more meat.
Right. I 100% agree. The cast in this movie is
Top
very
notch.
on point, though.
Yeah.
I will say that. Like Lakeith, I wish that we got more from him just because I know how good of an actor he is. For him to be basically second fiddle in all the scenes he doesn't have a scene where he's like the primary focus.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, that's on purpose though, because you were mainly following Blanc and Marta, but and the suspects of the family. But yeah, I gotta say, slam dunk with every other role, man. And the film's secret weapon is probably Chris Evans as Hugh Ransom.
Oh yeah,
like his snobby attitude in all of his scenes. Like the moment after they realize that everything in the will and inheritance is left to Marta, and he like drives off with Marta in the car, like this is the best decision for all of you. Like this is the best thing that could happen for all of you.
This is the best thing that could have happened to this family.
Right. Yeah, I really loved him in this movie, man, because he plays the villain so well.
That's one of the things. Like Chris Evans, he actually has some pretty good range as an actor. Yeah. Because he can play a snarky guy, he can play like the heroic type, and then he can play like the snobby rich kid, know-it-all kind of family member here, who actually does come off as intimidating in some of the scenes as well.
I saw it way back, man. There was a film he was in with Jason Statham and William H. Macy called Cellular. I know you probably saw it. It was a very great, underrated B movie thriller, but he was like in that film. And I was like around the time of like Final Destination and, films that had like these young leads of like teenagers or people who are close to people who are a little older than teenagers getting into like very like tense situations. And he nailed that film, dude. So I saw even back then that, Chris Evans does have range. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's more than just Captain America. The love interest in the movie. Yeah, mm-hmm. I feel like he shined in this.
See, I remember when he was first cast as Captain America, and I remember going, Chris Evans, the guy that, from all the like love kind of romance movies.
Not another teen movie.
Right. And then he also played, what was it? The guy in Fantastic Four, the Human Torch.
He was a good torch, though. He was a good torch.
He wasn't a bad torch. It's just those weren't good films.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So Rise of the Silver Surfer could have been so much better than what it was.
Right. So I remember hearing that and just going, really? That's the guy for okay, we'll see how that goes. I'm not putting too much faith in that. And I am so glad whenever those castings happen, I'm so glad when I'm proven wrong. Because Chris Evans ended up being one of the best people for Captain America.
There are still some people who are holding fast to not liking Patterson as Batman. I see him on Facebook. The worst Batman ever. He was too goth. I'm like, dude, that Batman was true to the Batman comics. I think you just don't like Patterson. Like come on.
You got to keep in mind, what is the mainstream Batman that people think of? And that is so far from the comics. You think of Val Kilmer, you think of Adam West.
You don't think of Val. Come on. Come on, man. You think of Keaton and Bale, even Affleck before you think of Val.
Right. But I'm saying people think of not so much like the dark Batman, they think of like the campier kind of Batman. Like Christian Bale was the first like dark kind of Batman to show up on the big screen, and people still think that that's an irregular Batman.
Really?
A lot of people still think that because we still got a more campy Batman with Ben Affleck's Batman. People were like, oh yeah, this is the Batman I remember more.
I don't know about that one, but
check what general audience views are and you'll be very surprised.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. But all right, let's circle back. So like acting's on point. And I like how the film comments on social class and like little like microaggressions that Marta has to deal with at her job. Like you see who's my man? You see Don Johnson talking with the family, like, I voted for Trump, and we need to build the wall. And you see her try to like roll her eyes and try to walk away. They're like, Marta, come over here. Your parents are from Ecuador. They got in here the legal way, and she's dealing with all this and like having stuff like that thrown in her face. And I like how like people I like how people's emotions really come out when it's revealed that she like everything is like hers. Like you see Jamie Lee Curtis go like, "You bitch, did you sleep with my father?" I'm like,
oh yeah,
where was the composed woman like an hour ago that was just so professional and all that? You know what I mean? Like I love how this movie basically takes a shit on rich people that don't earn theirs.
Right. They basically have been stealing from this guy their entire lives and then find out that somebody else theoretically stole their money from them that they think they're owed. So they get real pissed real quick. And I remember like the scene where they're going up to him and like reading the document. And they're like, "There's no way this is real. This can't be real. There's no way. How is this legally binding? You can't give all my stuff to her." And they keep saying my money to her, not,
right.
Their father's money to her. That is my money. This is my house. You can't give my stuff to her.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like the final twist at the end. I remember I was in the theater. I think I saw an early screening of this. I think it was like an AMC thing. And I remember when they get to the final twist, where it's revealed that Chris Evans was the guy behind everything, and while Daniel Craig is explaining everything, at one point he tries to stab Marta after she tricks him into confessing that he killed who was homegirl, Fran, with the morphine. And I like how there was one guy next to me. He was so into the movie when he tried to stab her with the fake knife, and it was revealed that it was fake. There was one guy next to me that was like, "Oh my God." Like he was just so blown away by the movie. I could tell he hasn't been out much.
This was his first like murder mystery movie. This entire thing was just a whole like twirl of like a roller coaster ride, just going, "What do you mean that it wasn't that? Oh my God, he's gonna find the footprints."
I didn't want to ruin his fun, but I did kind of give him a look like, "Are you serious?" But he was having a ball, man. Yeah.
I love that though. And that's one of the cool things about this movie is that twist does kind of come out of left field a little bit. And you kind of know that something's up with him, with the way that he's being so nice to Marta to do this. And at first you're like, okay, he's doing this because it really screws out the rest of the family and he loves that. But then you kind of realize, oh, it's not about that. He's still getting something from this, and he found a scapegoat to get what he wants. So he makes a great villain for this movie because he comes off as lovable or hate loved, kind of like you love how like obnoxious and everything he is. And then you get to see him actually become a villain, and you're like, oh, so that hate is like well-deserved.
Yeah. He earns the hate, but he earns the hate well. I think I'm pretty much done with this, man. See, it's hard to talk about movies that are really good that you rewatch them for the show, but like when you you ain't got much to say except, yeah, man, good shit.
Yeah. This podcast would be very boring if we went, yeah, cast was great, the plot was amazing, I love the twist at the end. Okay, next movie. We could get through 20 movies in a single podcast that way.
Right. This is why we watch films like, Bill and Ted, to really get to the meat of bad movies.
Right.
No, I like
Ted
Bill
is a
and
good
Ted.
movie, man.
It's a good movie. But I gotta say, rewatching this, man, I give it a nice 4.5.
Yeah, this one's a 4.5 for me. I remember the first time I saw it, I absolutely loved it. And this time, actually watching it again, knowing how it all goes down and everything, and kind of seeing how Chris Evans' character kind of takes Marta away and plays the good guy act, knowing full well the full story, it does add a second layer to it. This is a good one to do a rewatch of because you'll catch all those little cues that it was giving you the entire time.
Yeah, you know, rest in peace to Christopher Plummer. He passed away right after this movie debuted, didn't he?
Was it that close? I remember that he passed away. I didn't remember that it was like right as this one came out, though.
It was around that time, though. I think it was like not too long after it came out.
No, he died in 2021.
Really?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
Oh,
February
wow.
5th.
I thought it was the same year.
Just a little over a year ago.
All right, then. All right, my bad. Well, still rest in peace, but you know,
yeah.
my bad on the dates.
Yeah. Great actor, very much missed. But yeah, the last 3 years kind of just are a single year, more or less.
Come on, man. Who are you telling? Especially in times of COVID. All right, man. You want to take the mantle on this next movie?
Oh God. Okay.
You recommended it, man.
Here's the fun one. Okay, so Death on the Nile is the continued story of Detective Poirot. It
don't matter how we say it.
It's the continued adventures of
the guy with the stash.
Yeah, the guy with the stash. The continued adventures of Stash Detective Guy. After the events of Murder on the Orient Express, he takes a trip to Egypt where he runs into his buddy Buke, who invites him to the wedding of two people, Lynette, played by Gal Gadot, and Simon, played by Armie Hammer, who are thrilled that a star detective has come to their like wedding reception and everything like that. And after discovering that they are being stalked by one of Simon's exes, Jackie, played by Emma Mackey, they decide to change the party venue to a cruise ship that will cruise down the Nile River. Perot decides to join them on this, and from there, stuff happens. Lynette dies, and it becomes a mystery of how did she die.
Look, man, I say this not with as much verve as I said it about other films, but garbage.
This movie is a mess.
Garbage.
So this movie, I will say, this movie did fix one of the problems I had with Murder on the Orient Express. But it kind of ignored the other 270 of them.
Let me tell you something. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
So, to put it blatantly, this movie does actually have a decent kind of twist with like who the murderer was, what happened, and everything like that. The problem with it is it doesn't give you any hints to what's going on. It feeds you wrongful information in the attempt to throw you off course. So when they tell you, oh, here's how they did, you don't go, oh, I could see that one coming, I'm smart. You go, you didn't tell where did all that information come from? You never alluded to this at all.
I looked at it as, hey, you know who this could be, right? I was like, yeah, it could be that character. No. Look that way for a second. All right, now look back. Hey, it was this character. Yeah, but that's who I said in the beginning. Yeah, I understand, but you know, I had to send you on a few roads and a few detours for you to get back here. You could,
yeah, we had to tell you that it was definitely these other characters and do all this weird winding bullshit to make you convinced that it could have been any of these other people.
Let me tell you something, man. I'm not a big Agatha Christie whodunit type of fan. Outside of Alfred Hitchcock's show, that stuff never really got to me. I like Knives Out because it subverted it. But Death on the Nile, dude. Let me just say this, man. Kenneth Branagh is a great actor. Director, man, he really is hit or miss to me. I liked Belfast. I didn't like this. I wasn't a big fan on Murder on the Orient Express. I respect him being old fashioned with it. I respect him paying homage to the old Hercule stash guy. But I was like, dude, I can't do it, man. I muscled through it because we're talking about it. But if I gotta wait until the last 1/3 of a movie for things to get interesting, there's a problem.
I remember I was watching this one on Hulu, and when the murder finally happened,
it's like an hour in.
I paused it, and it's halfway through the movie.
An hour in. I was like, if I gotta wait an hour in to have Gal Gadot die and have me be invested in who did it, that's a problem.
Yeah. For the plot to actually start in the movie, it starts at the halfway point. That shouldn't happen.
Listen, I'll tell you this. I didn't mind the whole flashback in the beginning for how Pyro became Pyro, why his stash hides part of his past. I said, okay, that's great character depth. I had no problem with that prologue. But the dance scene in the beginning of how Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer met, fine. Skip past all that pyramid bullshit. Because that just lasted too long. I'm like, dude, why are we in these caves? I don't understand. I don't need an hour to spend with each of these characters. Just jump into the meat and potatoes.
Right. They took too much time to like build up these characters that all just have throwaway lines, because you have, I love Russell Brand. I really do. I think his comedy is top notch for his stand up and everything.
I like the Russell Brand now. I think he's gotten better. Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I miss his like old kind of off kilter insanity. You don't know what to expect with him kind of days. I miss that Russell Brand. That's the Russell Brand I grew up with.
I got you.
But at the same time, like I saw him in this movie and I was like, oh, okay. At first I was like, I think I recognize him. I think that's Russell Brand. And then he had his first like line of dialogue and I was like, okay, that's Russell Brand. This might actually be interesting. And then he did absolutely jack shit.
Nothing.
The entire movie. And then you're introduced to all these other characters like, this is my cousin. Oh, okay. This is my cousin. She does blah, blah, blah. And she works in the Dunana factory where they make flowers or some bullshit. Yeah. And then none of that matters. None of it fit.
This is an old friend of Stash Man. This is his mama. And these are these two old ladies that are always stuck at the hip and just happen to be with his mama. I'm like, who are these people? Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, and here's this lady that he likes and he's actually secretly dating, but his mom doesn't like her. Okay, does that have anything to do with the plot? Nothing at all. It'll never come up again. Oh, okay. Thanks, movie.
It doesn't come up again.
You're really focusing on all the things that really matter in this murder mystery. When's the murder going to happen? We still got half an hour before the murder happens. Okay, good. I'm glad we're getting through all this dialogue.
And, here's the angry, jealous ex-woman who you expect to be the murderer, but you hope that this movie subverts that. But no, in the end, she actually does turn out to be the murderer. It's like, come on, man. Listen, there are times in this film where, again, I love Kenneth Branagh as an actor. He shows depth. Like, I love the scenes between him and Sophie Okonodo. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. The singer. I love the scenes between him and her.
Yes, the jazz singer.
Yeah, it shows layer to his character. Like I like how he's interrogating her, and she says, "Man, this is exciting. Like, I get to see you in action. Oh, I will not fight. I will not fall victim to your flirtation during my work." She says, "A woman makes a pass at you, and you think is me trying to trick you? Your last woman might have really did a number on you, huh?" And then you see him pause a little bit, and then you just see him kind of move on back into his like detective role. Like, I like scenes like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the rapport between them, and I like how this is somebody who, he really does try to confront his past throughout the film, and you learn of his past love and how he looks at the relationship between Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer and knows that there's something there that's like more lust and love, or something there that's just not right. But I like how they brought depth to the character of Mustache Man.
Yeah.
But
Mustache Detective Man got some good character development. Everybody else didn't.
Yeah. I listen. I understand whodunits. Listen. My problem with Murder on the Orient Express, it had a great cast, but I just wasn't invested. I'm like, once the most interesting person in the movie, Johnny Depp, died, I was like, okay, so I got to be stuck with these other people,
See,
and
I get that. And the worst part is that movie constantly like goes, okay, so who done it? And I remember going, okay, so it could have been this person or it could have been this person. And then at the end, it's like, surprise, they all done did it. Everybody wins. You're all heroes here.
I don't
You
mind.
solved the murder.
I don't mind that. The thing I do mind is that I wasn't that much invested by the time it got to that point. I was like, oh, okay, everyone did it. Is this over now? I just wasn't that invested by that point to really care.
Yeah, like I had the same feeling with this movie too, where by the time they tell you exactly what happened, I was like, oh man, what a shock. But why did he do it? And I can't even remember what the purpose was, because
it's the money. It's the money. They were trying to get the money.
Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to get the money. Like, the whole thing was a setup for him to fall in love with her and, get married. And you know how it is. It's the money.
See, I do want to lay out for a minute what their plan was that they almost got away with, because it is so contrived bullshit. I absolutely do love this in a what drugs were you on when you came up with this storyline kind of way. So in order for their plot to go off, Jackie had to be there doing her stalking stuff and get Lynette worried enough that they moved the entire party onto a ship. At that point, Jackie has to somehow sneak onto said ship, even though security is told absolutely make sure this person doesn't get on the ship. At that point, Jackie has to create a ruckus that makes Lynette go, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go to bed. So she can then pull out a gun with a blank round in it and pretend to shoot Simon so that Simon can be like, oh my God, my leg, it's bleeding. Go get help. And everybody like wanders out of the room so he can take the gun that still has 2 bullets in it.
Seems like you do remember.
Oh, this is such contrived bullshit. I, of course, remember this. I don't remember the reason they did it, but I remember the entire thing of what they did. So with those 2 bullets still in the gun, he goes in, shoots Lynette in the head one time, that nobody hears somehow, goes back, shoots himself in the leg, so he's actually bleeding, wraps up the gun, throws it overboard for some reason, even though there was no reason to do that because the gun, whatever. Anyway, moving on. So Dr. Dude comes in and finally sees him with his bleeding leg. And it's like, yep, that sure is a bleeding leg you got there. No foul play here. So he takes him to get his bleeding leg fixed. Crazy girl who only shot a blank round is put to sleep with morphine or something like that. So that way, there's no chance she could have killed Lynette. And then why? I hate this. Goddamn hate this.
This is an Agatha Christie mystery. They're all contrived. You know why?
It is such contrived bullshit, though. This is like that 1 in a million shot of this actually working kind of plot line, because there's so many variables. Look at Knives Out and how that went down. That was super planned out. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly how to make it look like it wasn't him. He knew how to pull all the strings perfectly, and there weren't any variables in it. The only variable that was in it was Marta, which, guess what? That ended up screwing him over in the long run, because that was the one variable he didn't think of that ended up causing his plan to fail. Technically,
Detective Stash Man. That was the one variable that caused them to fail, because of course he has to catch him.
Well, technically, they depended on him being there because they knew that he would be able to solve the mystery in the wrong way and pin it on somebody else. I can't remember who they were trying to pin it on, but yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. This movie actually, when it got to the last 1/3 and like more dead bodies, so to speak, start piling up, I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of intrigued. But it shouldn't wait. You shouldn't wait 90 minutes to have bodies start piling up for me to be intrigued. That should have happened at minute 30.
Yeah. Well, no, this is 90 minutes into an hour and 20 or a 120-minute movie. The movie is almost
2 hours.
over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is this movie, man.
It's a messy film, dude. It's very messy. I like how Stash Man, gets his redemption. I like how in the end he chooses to, pursue a relationship with the singer. She was probably my favorite character, to be honest. I love a line she says in the pyramids when they're talking. He says, what did he say? He says, you got a husband. He says, man, she had a great line. What was it? She said she had 7 husbands. They were all tired and she got tired of them. She said something that was charming. But anyway, I like her and I like how he pursues a relationship with her in the end. And I like how he shows his full face with the scar and not hiding it through the mustache anymore. But, outside of changes to, Stash Man and his death, this movie's a 1.5 to me. It's not good. It's not good, man.
Yeah, I got to slightly disagree with you there. This is a 1 out of 5.
1. Wow.
Yeah, this one just was not this was a bore to get through, to the point that you even just mentioned something that didn't even occur to me in this movie, which is at the end, I didn't realize that he had shaved his mustache off. I was so tuned out at that point that I was just like, oh, cool. He showed up to the club with the jazz singer. And then the credits rolled and I was like, yay.
Wow. Okay. You didn't even notice that, huh?
I didn't even notice that.
I give it a 1.5.
You could have put a gun to my head and said, what was the point of that last scene? I'd be like, just pull the trigger, man. You're going to get through this a lot faster than this movie that way.
I give it a 1.5 for the character death of Stash Man and for the last 1/3. I give it that, saying, this is a 30 minutes of this is a solid movie. Out of 120.
Out of 120 minutes, I give this movie a solid 22 minutes of good movie.
Oh man. Yeah, maybe. All right. So goes without saying, dude, I knew this before I even started watching Death on the Nile. I'm like, Knives Out is gonna win. I'm like, this.
Knives Out wins in your opinion?
Of course. They're ahead by half a point. But yeah, nah, man.
Just barely.
I knew when I first started watching Death on the Nile, I was like you when you started Zack Snyder's Justice League. I was like,
oh God.
Because I remember I didn't like Orient Express that much. I was like, man, I didn't really like that movie. But Brad really wants to watch this. And I
just wanted like a murder mystery. And it was like, oh, this is a new one. This might surprise me. This actually might end up being good. Maybe they learned from all their mistakes.
You had hope. In the minute
I shit in one hand and hoped in the other. And guess what I ended up with?
It popped up on HBO Max and I was like, I know Brad is going to mention it again. Say, hey, we can finally do that Death on the Nile episode. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll watch it.
I mean, I asked if you had another suggestion for Knives Out because I wanted to do one for Knives Out because I wanted to talk about it because it is such a great movie.
It's a toss up. I mean, we could have picked any murder mystery, to be honest, but I feel like we could have picked that Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston movie that came on Netflix. It was literally called Murder Mystery, right?
We could have done what was the board Clue. We could have done the Clue movie.
Clue. I actually heard that's a good movie. I never saw it.
I haven't seen that one either. That probably would have been a better movie to pair this up with.
We could have treated
in
ourselves,
hindsight,
man. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Knives Out wins totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Before we go, anything else you've seen lately?
Nothing else comes to mind. Oh, I did finally watch the new Pixar Turning Red.
How was that?
It was okay. It Pixar movies kind of are hit and miss. This one's more on the miss side than the hit side to me.
That's a shame. They
But
used to be the top dog.
yeah, this one's, closer to like Onward, where it was entertaining, but I left it and kind of went, okay, I barely remember any of this movie, like a couple hours after watching it.
So it's
It,
it's like the Good Dinosaur kind of, right? Like
yeah,
it
like
was
Good Dinosaur, Onward, where it was like, yeah, that was a fun ride, but
mm,
looking back, I can't really remember much of what happened in that movie. It's not like Soul, where I left and I was like, man, like thinking on it like an hour or two later and going, man, there was some depth to that scene. That
yeah.
was great. The haircut scene was amazing. I loved how they kind of like showed the little bit of like personality with the characters, and
Right.
we got so much context without there being dialogue to say the context.
When he's in the Great Beyond and all that, yeah, Soul really is a great movie. But I like that when you see a trailer for a Pixar movie, it's almost like you can kind of tell which one is going to be one of the top dogs and which one is going to be like, okay, I don't want to say throwaway, because Pixar is still very, very much brilliant and talented in what they bring to the table. But you can tell that's the one that's not one of the strongest.
Yeah, it's not one of their strongest movies. It's a fun ride if you're looking for just, a Pixar movie to put on and watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not one that you're going to remember as fondly as like Toy Story or Bug's Life, Wall-E, Soul. I am kind of looking forward to the Buzz Lightyear one that's coming up.
I'm interested to see what they do, to see how Lightyear was as an actual person in that world, I guess. Hey, I finally saw Free Guy.
Oh, what'd you think of that one?
I thought it was cool for what it was. I thought it was a solid Ryan Reynolds comedy. I just thought it was like I said, Taika Waititi, he's a little hit or miss to me, and he was kind of missing that movie, but I thought it was cool for what it was.
Yeah, I think this was a miss for that one. I agree. It was a middle of the road movie,
It's a movie you see on IMDb TV on your Fire Stick and go like, I'll watch ads with this one. I'm okay with watching ads while I'm watching this movie.
okay with getting a breather every 30 minutes.
Right. Little Rel was not funny in that movie. And he's usually funny. Like, his friend, the guy that worked with him at the bank.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's usually funny. He wasn't that funny in that movie.
Yeah, you're talking about Buddy.
Buddy. I think that was his name. Yeah.
Yeah, his name was Buddy. Yeah, he kind of got pushed aside a little bit.
Yeah, he ended up getting a Lakeith Knives Out role.
Yeah. Sad to say.
Listen, man, let me tell you something, man. I know you still haven't even read Saga, but when you finally get to Invincible, dude, great story, man. Did I tell you I finished it?
Oh, did you finish Invincible?
I finished the whole Invincible, man.
I gotta start going back into it because I stopped somewhere like 20 issues in or something.
I didn't read those 144 issues. I inhaled them.
Like I know it. I think it was just like 3 weeks ago. You were like, I think we're going to start reading Invincible. I keep hearing good things about this.
Dude, when the story hits and it goes in depth about him being a superhero and like the moral complications that can come from that. Like, one of the things I want to tell you, I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but one of the things I want to tell you is that at one point he literally asked the question, like, we catch these guys and we put them back in prison. Why don't we just kill them? The prison's not going to rehabilitate them. Like, why don't we just ask them? Like, Arkham Asylum is not going to rehabilitate the Joker or Scarecrow. They're going to break out. Like, why don't we just kill them? And I like how Robert Kirkman approaches that. He kind of approaches it in a funny way at first, but then he takes it more serious. It's just very well done, man. That was a great series.
Yeah, I will say Robert Kirkman is a very good writer when he has his own characters. I think he falters more when he's playing with other people's characters, like when he's done the Marvel comics kind of lines that he's done.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You know, I think he's done some for like I can't remember what other character he's written for outside of like Marvel and everything, but it kind of falters a bit versus The Walking Dead, which is absolutely phenomenal, and Invincible, which is really fun.
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoy it. But that's pretty much where I'm at so far. You want to cap off here?
I think this is a perfect place to cap off.
All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us for this Knives Out episode. Y'all take it easy and like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next one.